Welcome to another episode of the Starter Girls Podcast with your host, Jennifer Loading.
And Brianna Drelas, and together we are the Starter Girls.
Where extraordinary decisions produce extraordinary results. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills, photographer of Glad Models Agency. If you are here in the Dallas or surrounding area and looking for some photography work, check out Walt Mills. You can learn more about him and his work at photosbywalt.com. Additionally, we want to give a shout out to our friends at the Studio Dallas. The Studio Dallas is the best kept secret in the Dallas podcasting world. If you are looking for a studio with top-notch technology, video and audio recording capabilities, as well as a production team to make things go smoothly, check out Studio Dallas. You can learn more about them through us at startergirls@gmail.com.
Also, head over to startergirls.com where you can pick up your free gift. We want to keep in touch with you outside of this show. So all you got to do is head over there and click Get My Free Gift, and we'll send it to you. We're going to help you up-level those decision-making skills.
I like to get my free gift.
Get my free gift.
I love it. I love it. All right, it's time to get started here. Today is a great day to be brave. You might as well start now. You have the power to change your circumstances any day you decide. Let today be that day. Rise up, be amazing, be you, do you. All right. We have a guest in studio today, if you haven't noticed, and we are super excited about it. And I'm just excited to read his bio because I got it today, and I'm like, I can tell Larry wrote that bio totally. That'd be like something I would write. It was so good. He sends it to me. I read like the first paragraph, and I'm like, that's all I said.
Yeah.
So good. All right. A high energy and charismatic podcaster, speaker, Amazon #1 best-selling author, and international top-rated course creator with over 1,000 students in 51 countries. Larry Roberts has been in coaching and facilitator roles for more than 25 years. Whether it's corporate, soft skill, technical, or sales training, facilitating small business groups, or teaching martial arts, Larry thrives on sharing his knowledge and insight in a way that will grab your attention, put you at ease, and reassure you. Larry is quickly becoming one of the most sought-after podcast consultants and content creators in the industry, featured in Podcast Magazine, April 2020, yay. Larry is regularly publishing articles in podcast periodicals and appearing on other podcasts, as well as speaking at special events. Larry specializes in all things podcast. We love it. While consistently publishing quality content of his own, he also has his own podcast, Readily Random with Larry Roberts. So welcome to the show, Larry. We're super excited to have you here.
So much. This is so awesome to be here. Honestly, this is, as you mentioned, the second time I'm on the show. But to be here in person and, of course, to meet Brianna,
Yes.
It is a super pleasure. So thank you very much for having me here.
We're excited
Great.
to have you here. So I know last time you were on here, we had so much fun because he was in his studio, Brianna. I don't know if you saw that episode, but he had all his little like toys in the background. He's got his whole studio. It's just like, it's a dude studio.
Yeah, it's pretty well batted out.
It
yeah,
is.
It's very Batman themed, but I love vinyl pops. You know, the little vinyl pops.
Yeah.
And I've got like every Batman vinyl pop that there is. Maybe not every, but I'm working on it. I'm collecting. So
He's got it set up.
But yeah, I got me a pretty.
I just ordered a few of those Marvel vinyl pops for my daughter because she's a super Marvel fan. So.
There you go. Very cool.
Awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
They're fun for all ages.
Yeah.
My wife has Gone with the Wind ones. Did you even know those existed? They're awesome. They got everything.
Gone with the Wind. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, so last time you were on,
Yes.
you were getting ready to leave your corporate job. We were talking about that because you were
Yes.
still like in that transition phase and now going all full podcast. So tell us, because you got a new course you just created too, and like we just said, like 1,000 students already.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I did leave my job in corporate America. January 4th was my last day, and I walked away, jumped into podcasting and content creation full time, and have been doing it ever since. And it's really, even in the short amount of time, we're only talking 5 months that we've been doing it full time. But it's been an amazing journey so far, and
awesome.
it just seems to be picking up steam. Podcasting is such a tremendous medium, and it gives opportunities to people. It gives platforms to people that they may not have had elsewise.
Right.
So that's why podcasting, I think, is really taking off, and we're seeing more and more people start podcasts. Now, let's not take into account the fact that we had a pandemic, right, over the last year. So people were trapped at the house, and what better way to continue building your business, reaching your audience, building your brand than with a podcast?
Of course.
And we've seen audio take off in a variety of different ways, whether it's a podcast or whether it's on Clubhouse, the latest app that's out there that's voice only. Of course, Twitter has its spaces. Facebook's trying to get it on the mix too, so they're coming along. But audio is where it's at, and people using their voice to establish themselves, build themselves, and keep them front and center front of mind for all their customers and their base, podcasting's it, man.
Awesome.
So yeah, so you mentioned the course.
Yeah,
I
tell
do
us
have a
about
course.
this.
I have 1 + 1 = Podcasting is the name of the course, and it's where I simplify the equation of podcasting success. Now, that course has been out actually for about 1.5 years now,
Okay.
but I did just release a new course on Clubhouse called Clubhouse for Coaches and Entrepreneurs. So that one has taken off. It's been selling like hotcakes. Both of them are available, and I didn't mean to pitch a commercial right
No,
out of the
you're
gate.
fine.
You
You're
know, I'm feeling
fine.
kind of bad here.
No,
But-
no, I'm listening
so
to this.
buy
and
my
thinking,
book and
yeah.
buy my courses and buy
Yeah.
my no.
While you're there. We brought
Pick
Larry
one up
on
for
just to
your
talk
friend.
about that today, right?
No, but
That's good.
again, the whole point here is that, you know, we're on this podcast, and I'm all about podcasting and content creation, and I'm demonstrating, I'm living the fact that anybody else can do it too. All you have to do is commit to the process and commit to continually improving over time. Just because I'm doing this full time, that doesn't mean I have all the answers.
Right.
Technology's changing each and every day. Every minute something new is coming out. And I think we're going to talk about something new with Facebook that's coming up in podcasting. That's going to be awesome. But it's just an evolutionary process. And that's what makes it so accessible to everybody.
Yeah.
Is that you can jump right in and evolve your game and evolve your show as you get better.
Yeah.
So it's a great, once again, it's a great platform and a great
I
opportunity.
know you're doing like awesome stuff, Larry.
Well, I don't know about awesome, but I mean, I kind of dig it.
I just keep thinking about that when he was on here, Brianna. We did this short clip about us talk. Remember the talking clip where we were like, "You got to be comfortable talking and laughing at yourself."
Oh,
and we
of course,
short
yeah,
clipped it.
yeah.
Larry, we were talking about, "I'm always talking." So podcast fits Larry well, right? It fits
Exactly.
Larry well.
If I got in trouble for anything when I was just a wee little lad, it
Yeah.
was for talking too much.
Yeah,
Something tells me you might have been in the same boat.
I still got in trouble for talking. What are you
Yeah, I do
talking
too.
about?
I do too. My wife's like, "Would you shut up? Just shut up."
You're like, I got stuff to say. I just got one more word. I got one more thing I gotta say. You're like when you're little and your parents are like, nope. You gotta get it out.
That's my
Right.
wife now. I don't know that
Yeah.
anything has changed at all.
See,
At
it's
all.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Okay, so I was going to ask you because I know when you were on here before, we kind of did a little bit different, and give us just so our audience, because they may not be listening to that other episode.
Sure,
just really
sure.
quick, how did you get into the podcast? Give us kind of a
Man, you know, it's kind of a cliche way that I got into podcasting. First and foremost, I got sober. I was a hardcore alcoholic for years and years and years. Ended up going to rehab and getting my life together. Coming out of there, I needed something creative.
Yeah.
Traditionally, I was creative before I became an alcoholic. That kind of ruined everything. But I needed this outlet, and I was looking, I was searching, I was trying this, trying that. And I was still in corporate America, and a coworker came to me and goes, "Dude," and let me back that up. He knows I love the fight game. I'm a huge UFC fan. Been
Yes.
watching UFC since 1993 when it debuted in November. I still remember the very first show. But he knew I was a huge UFC fan, so he goes, "You have to listen to the Joe Rogan podcast." And I'm like, "Bro, podcasts are for nerds. I'm not into this. It's not my bag. I'm not listening. It's stupid." It's kind of like talk radio. I had that same opinion about it then. And unless, of course, it was like Howard Stern or Tom Likas. I kind of dug those guys. But anyways.
I digress.
Yeah, we're getting off on a tangent there. Sorry.
It's all right. It's
Russ
all right.
Martin, miss you, bro. But I eventually listened, and when I heard that podcast, there were some comedians on there because Joe Rogan's supposed to be
Right.
funny. I don't find him all that funny, but the guys he had on there were killing me. They were crushing me. They had me rolling because it kind of took me back. You know, I grew up in the 80s, and I grew up with the classic comedians, and I lived on people like, I shouldn't be saying this because I was just a pup, but Sam Kinison, Andrew
know who
Dice
they are,
Clay,
yes.
you know, all those guys, Robin Williams in his prime, Live at the Met on HBO. I mean, all the Howie Mandel, the Watusi Tour, all these comedians were crushing it, and I heard that same type of comedy on that podcast that I grew up listening to as a pup, and I fell in love. I was like, this is it. This is what has to happen. I have to start a podcast. So I did. So I teamed up with a friend of mine, his son, who was an open micer at the time here in the DFW area. And literally, I'm going to talk about him in just a minute. Jamie Gravy, I'm going to give you that shout out. But Jamie Gravy and I, we started a podcast. It was a comedy podcast. And it was pretty blue. So, you know, it was in the same vein as those same comics that I mentioned before. And being in corporate America, well, eventually things changed. And although I had quite a few fans at the office, I got a new manager in, and he was not a fan at all. He did not like the content. He did not like the way it was representing the company and this and that. And although he didn't tell me to cancel the podcast, our relationship was already a little strained. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be the bigger guy. I'm going to kill that podcast, and I'm going to start a new show, and I'm going to keep it clean, and I'm going to do something beneficial, and I'm going to help people, and I'm going to just be positive with this new show. And that's how Readily Random came into the mix. But I digress there. I'll get back to that. I wanted to tell you, Jamie Gravy just performed his first headlining spot at Hyenas here in Dallas this past weekend.
Good for him.
He's gone on to sign his first, what is it, a residency? Residency, is that what you call
residency.
it? He signed his residency in Vegas, opening up for,
No way.
oh, man, what is his name? Not the ladies' man. He's going to kill me. Another comic that everybody would know. Undercover
Saturday Night
Brother.
Live? Oh.
Who was Undercover Brother?
Undercover Brother.
He is the ladies' man.
That's the same guy. Not the same guy then.
Oh.
Anyways, he just... I'm so sorry, Jamie.
We're going to have to look it up.
Don't get fired. do not show this. But anyways, no, I want to say congratulations to him because, I mean, he's taken the podcast and then he turned it
That's
into an
huge.
open mic. It's still an open mic here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex today because we ended up taking the show to a live stage show in a club. And it's just been great. And Jamie's
for
seen
him.
tremendous success from it. So congratulations to him.
That's
Very cool.
exciting.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
But Readily Random came about, and I started talking to people that kind of gone through similar things that I'd gone through. I wanted to highlight people's stories of overcoming trials and tribulations and coming out on the other side.
Sure.
And maybe it was just at the time, it was just a little still too raw for old Lair to hear those stories again and again and again, because they're all very similar, right?
Yeah, right.
Right? They're all addiction stories and overcoming, and they're tremendous stories. But again, at the same time, I think it might have just been a little raw for old Lair. So the show started to evolve. And then it got really more random. I mean, I had an origami champion on the show for,
That's fun. Origami.
Okay, I love folding paper. I'm an origami kind of guy. I like origami, so I had one of the top guys in origami on the show. I've had actors from Ozark on the show. I've
That's
had
so fun.
NFL Hall of Famers on the show, and it just was very, very random. But then it started evolving into entrepreneurship, and that's where it is to this day.
That's awesome.
And now, I'm going to throw this out there.
Throw it out.
Readily Random, the show, is kind of starting to wrap itself up.
Okay.
Starting to wrap itself up, and I'm on the verge of launching a brand new show,
Okay.
and I'll announce it. It's called The Day I Quit. And it's all about the day you quit, the day you walked away from the corporate rat race.
Oh.
So we've all got that story as entrepreneurs. We've all got that story where we separated ourselves from that 9 to 5, jumped out there, put it all on the line, and attempted to make it on our own. And that's what this show's all about.
So when's this kicking out?
About 6 weeks.
About 6 weeks.
Yeah, about 6 weeks.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm excited.
So, was that the name of it, or is there?
The Day I Quit. That's
Okay,
the
the
name
Day
of
I
the show.
Quit. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
The Day I Quit.
Awesome. I like it.
I kept it
I do
simple.
too.
Yeah.
And here's the thing.
The day
and-
I
and-
quit.
You know, I made a huge mistake when I started the Readily Random podcast, and it's something that I try to teach people not to do when we're talking about starting a podcast. Is I didn't pick a niche. I literally,
Or an audience.
Right.
I had nothing. I just go, I'm gonna call this show Readily Random. It'll be great because I can talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, if you're really trying to talk to everybody, what's the cliche?
You're
really
talking to no one.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's exactly. You know, I'm not saying I ended up talking to nobody, but it was a huge struggle to find an audience.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I started getting on stages and speaking at events and publishing articles in podcasting periodicals that I started actually finding that audience. So I shot myself in the foot, and I had to hobble through the whole process.
Well, yeah. You learn.
because exactly.
Yeah.
But it was a rough lesson. But hopefully,
Yeah.
The Day I Quit, I think that says what it says. You
Yeah,
know, it seems
the
pretty
day I-
straightforward.
yeah.
If you have that subtitle
Yeah. Yeah.
on the day I quit the corporate, like the corporate, blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
yeah. Your corporate journey.
Because
we're
it
gonna
could be the day I quit.
Could be the day I
drinking.
quit drinking. And I'll be honest with you, it was almost that as well. It was almost, it could be anything that they quit. It could be anything you quit. Maybe you quit your wife. Maybe you got a divorce. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, there could be a lot of things. Maybe you quit Facebook.
Yeah, maybe you quit social media. Who knows? But no, that's
Right.
exactly right.
That's
That
good.
subtitle is going
That's
to be
good.
there.
That'll be
for
good.
clarification.
So have you started working on your people that you're gonna start?
I've recorded a couple of episodes.
Oh, you
yeah,
have?
Yeah, I've recorded a couple of
Okay.
episodes. So
That's good.
We're getting out
Are you gonna
there.
roll out like several of them again, kind of like you did before, where you laid?
Yeah, I'll roll out about a half a dozen probably. I've helped others start podcasts, and we
Yeah.
played with the numbers
Sure.
that we launch with, whether it's 1 or 2, whether it's 3 to 5, and I think I had somebody that actually launched with like 13 or 14
Yeah.
episodes, which I don't think that's necessary. That's a lot of content.
Sure.
And I understand you want to establish a base for your new listeners to kind of get an idea if they like the content, they may want more.
Sure.
But at the same time, if you're coming at them with 14 right out of the gate, that's a little intimidating.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find that balance.
Sure.
You know, it's hard to find that balance.
Well, and I think where you're beneficial is because I know, like, when I started my podcast, you know, when we originally started this, Brianna and I were not together. I had a different partner with me. We knew nothing about podcasting. Like, it was like dive in, which is how I do everything in life. I just
Sure.
dive in. I'm like, we're just gonna figure it out how we go along, right? So we're gonna do a podcast. We don't even know how to work the buttons on the thing. And at the time, we were in a studio where we didn't have Chris. We didn't have all this beautifulness that we got right now. We had to operate 2 computers. I had a computer. She had a computer. I was in charge of making the Facebook go live. She was in charge of the audio. And so we had to like time everything, make sure we, you know, didn't start wrong. So the music wasn't playing, the camera wasn't ready and all that. You know, but we learned how to do all that stuff. So I think where you're great is that, you know, when you have these people that are actually specializing in this and can train other people how to do it, they kind of know, it's like having a coach. You kind of know when you go out of the gate, hey, you know the ins and the outs. You don't have to do all the crazy stuff that we all did.
Right, and that's it. I wish I had somebody to hold my hand along
Yeah.
my podcasting journey. It would have helped out tremendously.
Right,
I gotta.
right.
Do you ever get jealous when she talks about the other host?
No, she
So,
doesn't.
oh.
No.
I've met her many times and she's adorable.
Yeah,
Throwing it in
we're
my
all
face again.
we're friends. Yeah. Well, and you know what? Hey, look, it was an okay thing because you know sometimes in life you just recognize that you just gotta you're friends with people, but sometimes the business part doesn't work so well. So you know.
Life has a variety
Exactly.
of paths, and
Exactly.
we all take whatever path it is that's meant for us to take. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
Brianna, and I always say people come into your life for reasons. Brianna was brought, you know, came into my life in February 2020.
February
2020?
2019.
Was it 19?
Wow, wow.
See, and she was planted there for a reason.
So when did we meet? Because we met at a birthday party.
We did. We met at Casey Haston.
Yes,
who was also
Casey
a
Haston,
guest
what's
on
up,
this
Casey?
show.
What's up, Steve Rutherford? What's up,
Yep.
brother?
She was on this show. Yes, it was Jewel High, who was also
Yes.
on this show and your show. We've all been
Jewel
on
was
the
on
same
my show,
show.
too. Yeah,
Have you
and-
been on his show yet?
No.
You,
Well, we're gonna
okay,
fix that.
let's
We're
go.
gonna remedy
We've
that.
all
The day
been-
I'll tell you all about the day I quit.
That sounds awesome.
We've all been on each other's shows. It's like the podcast party, you know?
You know what? I think it was February 2020.
Was
Was it
it?
before?
It was for pandemic.
Well, no, because
But-
I was promoting Performing Arts Pathway, the
Yes,
first
yes.
book. So no, it was 2019.
Was it 19? Okay,
Yeah.
so
So the first book, because I came on for the second book.
I can't believe I've known you.
I
that
can't
long.
believe it.
See?
It's amazing.
But you know what? I'll tell you a
Your
funny
whiplash.
story because I talk about Brianna. I think was the first episode she came on. She was talking about, I don't remember, we were talking about something about extras. Somewhere along the line, she said something about being extra. And I texted her one day. I said, oh my gosh, when somebody tells me that they got told they were extra, I'm like, you are speaking my language. If somebody told you were extra, we need to talk. Right? Because extras need to be together.
No, it's a perfect fit. I think that's why
Exactly.
this is working
Extras
out, right?
need to be
This is why-
together.
You're a little quiet though, Brianna. I gotta
She is
say.
sometimes.
Oh, you know, I like to listen.
Yeah.
I listen and observe, and then I come up with interesting
does.
The
antidotes.
real
She does.
strategic. Okay.
She
all right.
does. She's like that. She's methodical. She listens, and then all of a sudden, I'll be like, "That was good." She's like stewing over there.
Or I'll pipe in with like a little jingle.
I know, but she does get excited sometimes. She waits, and then she gets excited. She comes out. There it is.
That's cool.
So
That's
it works
cool.
out. It's all
That's
good.
Cool.
It's good.
It's different having a co-host. It's great having a co-host.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, I miss having a co-host.
Yeah.
It makes the conversation so much easier when you have these ideas that you can bounce back and forth and you can kind of lob up the old softballs and let the other person. I mean, it's just, it makes it go so much smoother and it's just easier to get through conversations sometimes with co-hosts.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Hey, so I wanted to talk to you about the Facebook thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you were mentioning for people out there who are listening and are wanting to do a podcast, obviously talk to this guy. He knows what he's doing and he helps people with that. But he was telling us about Facebook coming out with this new opportunity to put your RSS feed inside your settings.
Correct.
And that's
Correct.
happening like later this month.
Yeah, it's getting released on June 22nd. Facebook is releasing support of RSS feeds on your podcast page. So if you have a podcast and you have followers on your podcast page on Facebook, all you need to do is take your RSS feed from your host. For those of you that don't know what any of this means, let me back that up a little bit. Your host is who actually keeps the media for your podcast. You record the podcast, then you upload that to a host. It's someone that has a server that am I animated up? So sorry.
You're fit. It's okay. So am I. No. Keep going. We're good. We're speaking the same language. We're gonna start all doing.
We're
this.
all talking
We're gonna-
with our
We're
hands,
gonna have
ladies and
Brianna by the
gentlemen.
time. And look, I'm still working on it. Give her some time. She's gonna be talking with her hands soon.
Well, your media hosts, they host the media and then you upload it to... No, what they do is they create an RSS feed, which allows you to syndicate. RSS means really simple syndication, and that allows you to take that feed. It looks just like a URL or a web address, and you can put that on different platforms, and that will bring your show into that platform every time you release a new episode. So now Facebook, once again, on June 22nd, for every podcast page that's there, you have the opportunity to go into your settings and paste in your RSS feed in your settings. That way, Facebook now natively hosts your podcast, just like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or all the other platforms that are out there that distributes podcasts. This is a huge benefit because what it does is anybody that follows your page is now going to get your latest episode in their news feed. And you don't have to do anything else to do it. If you're on Facebook right now and you're putting your podcast out there on Facebook for everybody to see, well, one, you're relying on the fact that, they may see it, right? It may show up in their feed. The algorithm may show it to them. But that's not guaranteed. Plus, you're taking all that time. You're having to rewrite the post. You're having to share the post. You're having to copy it from me.
And you're including an outside link, which Facebook frowns upon.
They hate that. So now it's native. It's right there.
I
and
love
this is going to be such a tremendous opportunity for Facebook users to distribute their podcast to all of their followers.
Or Facebook users, let's say you don't have a podcast, but you follow podcasts, be sure to go follow us where we are at Starter Girls or wherever your new podcast is going to be at.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And whatever podcast you love, because now you can access that new podcast inside those feeds. So it's not just for the podcasters, but for the users. This is a great opportunity for you as well.
Perfect. Easy access to all the content that you want to consume.
Totally.
Yeah, I love it. Well, now maybe people will see our Facebook page.
Maybe they'll
right?
see
We're gonna be excited.
And that's the thing, because we as creators get so frustrated when we're
Yes.
trying to get our content to the users.
Yes.
If you're trying to just find new listeners, find new
Right.
people to follow your page, very difficult to do that without running ads
exactly.
and using paid advertising. This will help you. This will help you tremendously. So
I
I'm
looking
looking forward to it.
Thanks
It's
for the
a
little
big change.
insider
Yeah, just a little tip. Just a little tip.
Yeah, so now we have something to get excited about. I know, because we're
Yes.
just having this conversation today about the whole social media thing. Like, where do we put the stuff? Because it's like the algorithms, like 10% of your people, or if even that, are seeing what you're putting out there.
Right.
And man, for us creators, we spend a lot of time doing that stuff. We want people to see that stuff.
And it is. And it's
Right?
so tough, especially with podcasting. You know,
Yeah.
YouTube makes it a little easier.
Yeah.
YouTube, there's a science behind it. There is a calculation behind it. There are steps you can take to maximize the effectiveness and searchability and discoverability of your videos. Podcasting, it doesn't have that same support structure behind it.
Right.
It's still more spread out, and it's more of engaging people and getting them to follow you. And you really have to put yourself out there on every platform that you can, every opportunity that you get, in an effort to gain that audience. Because guess what? Everybody else is doing it too. I think right now, because of, as I mentioned earlier, everybody during the pandemic was starting podcasts.
Right.
We broke over 2 million podcasts that are out there.
It's crazy.
Now, that sounds like a lot of podcasts, but there's really probably only about 350,000 or so that are active.
Right.
Meaning they've had an episode uploaded in the last 30 to 60 days.
Sure.
So a lot of people, they pod fade, they start a podcast, and they go, oh, I'm not getting these Joe Rogan numbers, and
They
Spotify's
just
not
quit. Yeah.
knocking on the door, so
Right.
this isn't for me.
Yeah.
So it's real easy to start a podcast, but it's much more difficult to maintain and keep that consistency and keep it going, even if you're not initially seeing the numbers or reaching that level of stardom that you're expecting.
Good information, Larry. This was good. Like, we just talked all about podcasting. This was so good. I think we need to ask him
That's
some
what
fun. Yeah, exactly. No, this was good. It was good. For anybody wanting to start a podcast, definitely reach out to Larry. He's got all the ins and outs. And
And he's super fun and animated.
He is animated. He fits well with us over here at Starter Girls, because apparently I'm animated too. It's fun being animated. Like, listen, if you were doing a podcast and you were not animated, you wouldn't be Larry and nobody'd listen.
Well, no, it's funny because I showed up to an event. I think it was the day before. What is today? Is today Wednesday? Today's Tuesday.
Today's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. So I showed up Monday to an event, and I've always got a hat on, and I've always got different glasses on. They're a little bigger. They're more kind of a Run DMC type feel,
Yeah.
right? Because again, child of the '80s. So I showed up to this event, no glasses, no hat, hair did, no hoodie because I'm also known for the hoodies. and I had on just a button-up shirt. And they're like, dude, I had messages coming in. I didn't even recognize you. If it wasn't for your background, I wouldn't know it was you.
So funny.
Oh.
And I was like, wow, I do look a lot different when I clean up pretty good. I mean, I know this is a little rough right here, but I clean up pretty good.
It's all good, Larry.
So, but the
Yeah.
thing is, as you mentioned, if you're not yourself on your
Right.
show,
Right.
you're not going to have near as much fun. So be
Exactly.
who you are and build your brand. I was on a podcast this morning, and that's one of the things we were talking about is building your brand through your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times, as podcasters, one of the mistakes that we make is we try to rely on these guests, these named guests,
Sure.
to take our podcast to the next level.
We talked about that.
Yep.
Yes.
And that doesn't work, folks. It just doesn't work because let me ask you this: if someone's listening to your podcast, they listen to it regularly, they come back every week, and they consume your content, they love what you're doing. Why are they coming back?
Right.
Are they coming back because of a named guest?
Right.
Or are they coming back because of you guys?
That's right.
Yeah.
They're coming back because of you. It's your
Right.
show. They love you and the content that you create. The guests are a great supporting structure.
Right.
And I welcome everybody on the show. I love the fact that guests are willing to come on my show. But you can't base your show around
Right.
having these guests.
Sure.
Because you may even see a slight uptick in the numbers because you have a named guest. But guess what?
Then it
They're
dips
gonna
back
drop
down, yeah.
right back down.
And don't expect just because they're high profile, they're going to share your podcast because they don't.
That's huge too, man.
Yeah, people think they get great guests. They're going to share it. And we're like, you want them to, but they don't. You're
Exactly.
better off getting somebody that's going to share your podcast. It's going to help you get it out there.
Would you rather have, I don't know, 100 people that they share the podcast to, or you have somebody on your show that has hundreds of thousands of followers
Right.
that don't share the podcast, so you get no
Exactly.
additional exposure.
Exactly.
You got a way where the advantages. Wow, that's a word.
The
Advantages.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Podcast lingo. We-
That's a new word, folks.
What
It
happens in the studio
goes live on Facebook.
exactly
But-
doesn't stay in the studio. We've already talked about that. What happens in the studio does it stay in the studio.
But again, you just have to weigh
Yeah.
the advantages to having the guest and
I agree.
understand that you are your brand. It's all about you.
I agree. This was good. Good information. Fun stuff, Larry. Okay, I think we need to ask him a couple fun questions because
Okay, fun
Larry's fun.
questions.
Okay.
I'm going to kick it off.
Kick it off, Brianna.
Here
Kick
we
it off
go,
because
here we
she's
go.
got one.
Here we
I don't
go.
have one yet, so go for it, Brianna.
You're Batman for the day.
Oh, this is good.
What do you do?
I love it.
I find Catwoman.
Catwoman.
Yeah, I go get my Catwoman. That's exactly what I do. And then we cruise across the skyscrapers at night and kind of hang out and maybe end up under the mistletoe like they did in the Batman movie, and maybe play with a little catnip. I don't know.
I'm thinking about Janet Jackson's Black Cat because I was listening to that on the way here.
I forgot about that song.
I have my
That song
Spotify.
is the jam,
Okay,
for real.
so listen, my Spotify list, because I listen to a lot of 80s music. It's got a whole section starting from 1980 to 1989. Every single section on Spotify is, I'm like, does the music change that much? Like, it overlaps. So on the way here, I was listening to Janet Jackson.
Man, you're gonna make me listen. You're gonna make me look that up and listen to it on the way home.
Yeah, because you're just talking
Because
about.
I can hear it in my head right
Yeah,
now.
Catwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Remember that
Okay.
song?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys are gonna help me listen. Last week we were talking about.
Is it on the same album as Miss You Much?
It might be.
I missed you.
Yeah, I like that one too. Yeah, I got a bunch of Control, Rhythm Nation.
I probably shouldn't sing in front of Brianna. She's like, would you please stop butchering music? Please
No,
stop
we
it.
sing on this podcast. Last
we
week
do.
we were doing we recorded a show and we were doing Tina Marie. Remember?
Tina
Tina
Marie.
I just want to be, lover
Your
girl.
lover girl.
Yes.
Oh my god. The fact that I remember that is kind of sad. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly.
And
But-
we also sing Black Cedar.
Oh yeah, Chris sings Black Cedar for us. We have all kinds of fun.
Man,
here.
y'all do some good stuff in here. This is fun.
Of course,
Good times.
the one that can sing the best is Brianna. The rest of us just pretend.
No,
we
Chris.
just-
Hey, Chloe can sing.
He does too. Yeah,
He's
he
got
does
some
too.
pipes.
Chloe got some pipes on him, huh?
He does.
Chloe's
he
got some
sings.
pipes on him.
Yeah, he likes to pretend like he's quiet back there, but he's not really.
He's back
He just-
there humming the whole time.
Yeah, they're like, who's this Chris guy? We hear about him on the podcast. Who is this Chris guy, right?
That's too funny.
So good. Okay, Larry, okay, so I know you're like you got this championship thing, this, this sport championship thing that you did when you were younger.
Well,
So
I mean, I was a kickboxer.
I
when
know,
I was younger.
yeah, but you actually got
Yeah.
you were not just a kickboxer, you were kind of a badass kickboxer.
I wouldn't go there. Look,
No.
that was so many
Okay.
lifetimes ago.
Well, I'm gonna go somewhere with this. I'm going somewhere with my question. So
okay.
I want to
Yes,
know.
yes,
I want to
I'll
know,
whoop everybody.
like, what your favorite sport is.
Oh, well, my favorite sport by far, the only sport that I follow is mixed martial arts. I mean, it just is. MMA, again, burst on the scene in 1993. It was November. I still remember I was in my apartment. I was already training in Kempo Karate, and this stuff came on. My wife, at the time, other wife, we won't talk about it. But sorry, honey, if you're watching. I'm in so much trouble. But anyways, had left, and I'm sitting there at the house by myself, and I'm watching this stuff, and I'm going, this stuff is garbage. I'd whoop everybody that's on this show, not knowing how stupid I was and ignorant to the fact that I would totally get destroyed. And it wasn't long after that I started training with some of the guys that were fighting in the UFC. I mean, Dallas is a hotbed of mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
I think you've got 3 champions here in Dallas now from the UFC. I know you got 2. You may have 3 champions right now in Dallas that are in the UFC. So it's always been a hotbed. And I had that opportunity to train with some guys and realized what I didn't know. And man, it changed everything. And that was life for years and years and years, was just karate and mixed martial arts. And to this day, I still love it. I obviously don't work out, but but I never miss a show. I'm excited for this weekend show, as a matter of fact.
That's awesome. Who's this weekend?
UFC 263. You've got
I watch UFC. I'm just not. I don't know who's on.
Adesanya and Vettori, Marvin Vettori, are going at it again. It's a rematch. They're talking a lot of trash. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I like UFC.
Yeah, Nate Diaz is on the card. That's gonna be good. So
I follow them on Facebook.
Do you really?
I follow the Facebook page.
I mean, it's fun to watch. I mean, have you ever seen a more polarizing figure than Dana White, the owner of the UFC?
He's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, that dude, he is amazing, and I want to run my company that way.
Yeah.
You know?
I actually like watching the girls. Some of them.
Some of the girls are bad, dude. They have evolved so much, and it's just amazing to see. Everybody. I mean, the whole sport's evolved. If you take the fighters from today and you look at the fighters of 93, you can't compare. A lot of the fighters of 93 were, I mean, they could have gone to the Tough Man and done just as well as they did in the UFC. Nowadays, you've got Olympic athletes. You've got real specimens. I mean, they are top of the food chain athletes that are competing, and you know, the little wannabe slackers, they don't cut the mustard anymore.
Sure.
So it's
so good.
Yeah, it's
we
awesome.
found a common thread. We can talk
let's
UFC.
Let's go.
I don't do much.
I can talk it all day.
I don't do many sports, but I will talk that.
Just so you guys know, I was making faces that entire time because I am not into it.
Not into it?
Well, that's
Not
like the
my
time I
thing.
had my friends on. You know, I had Brandon Brown on here, and they were talking football, and I'm just not a football person. But it was a great conversation. That's why I had to bring another party in, because I'm like, I don't do football. So
funniest thing is when I met my wife, the real wife. One of the first things I did, the very first time we ever stayed over at one's house, I said, she lived in Fort Worth and I lived in Plano at the time, and we worked in Coppell. So, I mean, we were in the middle of both of our spots. I said, I tell you what, we'll stay at your place, but we got to run to my house. I got to get some clothes, and I got to get these videos because you got to see what this is all about.
It's so fun.
And I went and I picked up my VHS tapes of UFC because I used to have a closet full of all the tapes, and took that to her house, and I showed it to her, and she's like, I don't know if I want to be with you or not. If this is what
this
you're
is our
all
future.
about.
Yeah.
So I was like, watch this knockout. This is the best knockout ever. And the dude just gets crushed. And she's like, she's never seen that level of violence.
Right.
And I would have parties at the house, and of course now she's in the mix with all these wannabe fighters and some actual fighters. Pete Spratt, one of my best homeboys in the whole wide world, he made it to UFC. He fought UFC 37 through 40. He would come over and we'd all watch the fights together, and it was a great time. But now she won't even watch the shows.
Oh, she and I get along just fine.
She's like, I am so done with this. So now it's on the computer, and I got my headphones on, and I'm just nerding out watching. And occasionally, and she'll go, oh, good fight? I'm like, yeah.
It's all good. All right, Larry, if our guests want to learn more about what you've got going on, check your courses out, all this stuff, where do we send them? Tell our audience.
You can go to podcastboost.com. That is where you'll find all things podcasting in relation to Larry Roberts. I just launched the site this week. It is a brand new site, but it has access to all my courses, my book. It has access to everything. You can also sign up for your free download on 7 reasons why you need to have a podcast.
That's good.
Reach out to me. I would love to help you any way that I can. Just like I said, get in contact with me. Let's make it happen.
That's good. I like it.
Podcastboost.com.
Podcastboost.com.
I love it. Y'all are so good. That was the highlight of the day. With your radio voices, I love it. All right, well, we do want to say, Larry, thank you for being here today. You are awesome. Always a pleasure to be in the space with you. Great energy. Got a great podcast going on. Love all that you're doing. It's
Thank
good.
you so much.
Me
So
too.
good.
Oh,
all good.
oh, she's animated.
That's right.
She's
We
animated,
I told
folks.
you I'm working on her. Either I'm gonna go the other way. I don't know. I'm always like, I'm gonna sit
You would
up-
have to.
I'm like, I'm gonna
You
sit
would
on my
have to.
hands. I'm gonna sit on my hands and not talk. But then I'm like, I can't.
No, there's no way.
I
There's
can't.
no way.
I can't.
I do talk with my hands.
You do. Just not
I
as much.
do.
You're just not as much.
I just,
as us.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm
I
taking
can't
it all
not
in.
talk
Yeah.
with my hand. It just
Yeah.
has. I had somebody review the. There's a video on podcastboost.com that I did, and you see some of my hands. You know, they pop up from time to time, and I had somebody reviewing it before I posted it. She goes, you might want to either show all of your hands or have, maybe better yet, no
Put
hands.
them no hands.
Yeah. So
I've gotten that comment before in my trainings because I'm
Yeah.
like,
Really?
because my hands are like really big in the video
Yeah.
because the
Can
Yeah.
I get close to the camera?
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm like-
you have to know.
because I'm like because I do I get passionate I'm like and then you know and I'm like in it
And you do. I've seen you because
I
I've
do.
seen some of your videos when you're like you're really into
Fist
your
pump.
thing, and she's like
Go.
going. I'm like, ooh, Brianna's doing it today.
Get it, girl.
She's like, go, and then I'm like, man, I need to like amp it up a little bit here. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. But we do want to say to our listeners, of course, if you enjoy our show, please give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook. We can't do this without you. And hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
and don't forget to head over to startergirls.com, pick up your free gift, and let's hang out and keep in touch.
I like it.
Love it.
All right, couple final thoughts here. Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. Do y'all know who that's by?
No.
Benjamin Franklin.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, in
Pretty
order to
sharp
have
guy.
in order to have success, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. All right, you guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.